Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we're diving into the Book of Esther.
Ooh, exciting.
Yeah, it's a story full of hidden identities and lavish banquets and a plot to save a whole people.
I love this book. It never even mentions God directly, but it really shows how divine providence works behind the scenes.
Definitely. We'll see how all these seemingly random events come together to protect the Jewish people.
Right.
It's almost like someone's orchestrating everything.
A hidden hand. I love that.
Okay, so first let's set the scene.
Okay.
We're in the Persian Empire, ruled by King Ahasuerus, also known as Xerxes.
Uh-huh.
And this guy, he throws this massive feast.
Oh, yeah. Huge.
It goes on for 180 days.
180 days.
All to show off Persia's wealth and power.
They even used cords of fine linen and purple wool.
Wow.
To hang the curtains.
It was a real spectacle.
It must have been unbelievable.
127 provinces all coming together to celebrate.
For half a year. Can you imagine that?
It's hard to wrap your head around it.
And it might not have been just about partying. Oh, some scholars think it was strategic.
Like, what do you mean?
Well, maybe timed before Xerxes was going to invade Greece.
Oh, wow. That's interesting.
What better way to get his troops ready?
Yeah.
And scare his enemies.
Right. Like, look how rich and powerful we are.
Exactly. It was a statement.
Okay, so picture this. The king's at his feast.
Okay.
Maybe he's had a little too much to drink,
I can imagine.
And he tells his queen, Vashti, to show off her beauty to all his guests.
Oh, wow.
This really shows you, the power dynamics at the time.
Big time.
Women were basically seen as possessions.
Sadly.
They were just supposed to obey.
Right.
But Vashti.
Ooh, she's a rebel.
She refuses.
I know, right?
Can you imagine?
That must have been a huge shock.
Yeah, this is the most powerful man in the world.
The king.
And she says, no way.
You can't just tell a king, no way.
I know.
Well, I guess you can if you're Vashti.
She was definitely a woman ahead of her time.
That's for sure.
But yeah, her refusal was like a direct threat to mayor authority.
You're sure? The men were freaking out.
Yeah, one of the king's advisors, Memucan, he basically said, if we let her get away with this, all the women will start disrespecting their husbands.
Oh, no, the end of the world.
Right, like it was a slippery slope.
Total chaos.
And that would totally undermine the social order.
Everything falls apart.
So Ahasuerus, he panics.
Yeah.
He deposes Vashti, gets rid of her as queen.
Oh, just like that.
I know.
Gone.
And then he sends out these decrees all across the empire.
Okay.
In all these different languages.
Oh, why?
Basically saying that every man should be the ruler of his own house.
That's pretty extreme.
Right. It's crazy to think that one woman's actions sparked this whole chain reaction.
One woman. That's amazing.
Yeah. It really shows how even small acts of resistance can have huge consequences.
Totally.
And, Vashti's refusal also opened the door for our heroine, Esther.
Enter Esther.
Exactly. So now there's no queen.
Right.
So they need to find a new one.
A new queen.
And that's where Esther comes in.
Star of the show.
Right. She's this young Jewish woman being raised by her cousin, Mordecai.
Mordecai. Okay.
And she's chosen to be part of the king's harem.
Oh, wow. The harem.
It's like this place filled with beautiful women.
The most beautiful women.
All competing for the king's attention.
Intense.
It must have been intimidating.
Big time.
And it's interesting because, Esther's Jewish name was Hadassah.
Hadassah.
It means myrtle.
Oh, like the flower.
Yeah, it's this beautiful, fragrant flower.
That's pretty.
But she takes on the Persian name Esther.
Esther, okay.
Which probably means star.
Interesting.
And this name change, it kind of shows how complex her situation is.
Yeah, definitely.
She's trying to fit into this new world.
Right.
But she's also hiding a really important part of herself.
Her true identity.
Exactly.
That must be so hard.
And it wasn't just a name change, She had to go through this crazy beauty regimen.
Oh, yeah, I've heard about this.
12 months of treatments.
12 months.
6 months with oil of myrrh. And then 6 months of perfumes and all these other beauty treatments.
Wow. Like a royal spa day.
I know, right? Fit for a queen. But, in the middle of all this luxury, Esther has to make a tough choice.
What's that?
Mordecai tells her to keep her Jewish identity a secret.
Oh, wow. That's a big secret.
I know. Can you imagine the pressure?
And the danger.
Right. One wrong move.
Yeah.
And it could be over for her.
It's a lot to carry.
Yeah.
So what happens?
Well, she somehow manages to win the king's favor.
Good for her.
And she becomes the new queen,
Wow, Queen Esther.
They even throw another lavish banquet to celebrate.
Of course, another banquet.
But, just when things seem like they're going great.
Uh-oh.
This new threat appears.
What a new threat?
His name is Haman.
Haman.
He's like the king's right-hand man. And this guy, he demands everyone bow down to him.
Well, he is pretty important.
Right. That might seem normal for someone in his position.
Yeah, I guess so.
But then Mordecai refuses to bow.
What? Why?
It could be more than just pride,
Okay.
Haman is described as an Agagite.
Agagite.
Which probably means he's descended from the Amalekites.
The Amalekites.
Yeah, they were like ancient enemies of the Israelites.
Oh, wow.
So for Mordecai,
yeah,
this might be about resisting a historical enemy.
Right, staying true to his roots.
Exactly, even if it puts him in danger.
That's brave.
It's a tough situation.
So how does Haman take this?
Oh, he is not happy.
I bet he's furious.
He's totally furious.
What does he do?
He decides to take revenge on all the Jews.
All the Jews?
Yeah, not just Mordecai.
Wow, that's a big leap.
I know. Talk about holding a grudge.
He's taking it pretty personally.
Yeah, he convinces the king to issue this decree.
A decree.
Ordering the annihilation of all the Jews in the empire.
What? No way.
Yeah. And they even choose the date by casting lots.
Casting lots? What's that about?
They called it
Okay.
It's like they're leaving it up to fate.
Wow, so even Haman thinks there's some higher power at play here.
Right. It's kind of ironic considering what happens later.
Foreshadowing. I love it.
So the king, he agrees to this horrible plan.
Seriously?
And to make it official, he gives Haman his signet ring.
His signet ring?
It's like a symbol of his authority.
Oh, wow. So it's really happening.
Yeah, it's a done deal.
What about the Jewish people?
They're devastated.
I can only imagine.
Imagine finding out that your entire people are going to be killed.
That's terrifying.
And there's nothing you can do to stop it.
It's a nightmare.
And to add insult to injury,
what?
Haman, he offers the king this huge bribe.
A bribe? How much?
10,000 talents of silver.
10,000 talents.
Some scholars think that was more than 2/3 of the empire's annual income.
Wow, that's an insane amount of money.
I know. It really shows how much Haman hated the Jews.
Yeah, and how far he'd go to get his revenge.
It's scary how power can corrupt people like that.
Absolutely. Money and power can change anyone.
Okay, so we've got Esther,
the queen,
hiding her true identity.
Right.
And Mordecai,
her cousin,
who accidentally started all this.
Oh.
And then there's Haman,
the bad guy,
who's so focused on revenge, he doesn't see what's coming for him.
Oh, this is getting good.
It is, right. So what happens next? Well, Mordecai, he finds out about the decree, and he sends a message to Esther.
Okay.
Begging her to do something.
To save her people.
Yeah, he reminds her that she's in a unique position to help.
She's the queen.
And he says these really powerful words. He's like,
what does he say?
Who knows if it wasn't for just such a time as this that you were made queen.
Wow, those are some powerful words.
It's a lot of pressure on Esther.
Yeah, she has a huge decision to make.
What will she do?
I guess we'll have to wait for part 2 to find out.
Stay tuned. Welcome back to the Deep Dive. So, Esther's facing this impossible choice.
I know, right? Stay silent or risk everything.
It's like her personal safety versus her people's lives.
A classic dilemma.
Yeah, even today we struggle with that.
Totally. When do you speak up? When do you stay quiet?
And Mordecai's words, they must have been ringing in her ears.
Oh, yeah, that time as this line.
It's a powerful call to action.
But also terrifying.
Right. Because approaching the king without being summoned.
Oh, yeah, big no-no.
You could be put to death.
Unless, of course,
the king extends his scepter.
That golden scepter, yeah.
Talk about high stakes.
It really shows you, how much power the king had.
Absolute power.
Even the queen wasn't safe.
It's pretty scary, actually.
So does Esther risk it?
She does.
Wow.
But first, she calls for a 3-day fast.
A fast?
Yeah, she wants everyone to pray with her.
Mordecai, the whole Jewish community.
It's a powerful moment,
Unity. Faith in the face of fear.
Exactly.
So after 3 days,
Esther goes to the king.
I can't even imagine.
Dressed in all her finery.
Will he extend the scepter?
The suspense is killing me.
I know, right?
Well, the king sees her.
Yeah.
And he's filled with love.
Oh.
He extends the scepter.
She's safe?
For now.
Right. The danger's not over.
She can't just blurt out her secret.
Especially with Haman right there.
Like a delicate situation.
So how does she play this?
She invites the king and Haman to a banquet.
A banquet?
Yeah, a private one.
Okay.
He figures it's a safer setting.
To reveal the truth.
Exactly.
Smart move.
The king, of course, agrees.
He loves his queen.
But At this first banquet,
Yeah.
Esther holds back.
What? Why?
She doesn't say anything about the decree.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, it's like she's building suspense.
I see. So she invites the guy who wants her people dead to this fancy dinner.
I know, it's pretty bold.
But why not just tell the king everything right away?
It's all about strategy.
Okay, explain it to me.
If she accuses Haman then he could defend himself.
Right.
Maybe even twist things around.
And make her look bad.
Exactly. So by waiting, she keeps him guessing.
It's like a chess match.
Exactly.
Every move calculated.
So while Esther's planning...
What about Haman?
Oh, he's loving this.
I bet he feels pretty important.
2 banquets with the king and queen.
All that attention.
But, there's this one thing bugging him.
What's that?
Mordecai.
Oh, right. He still won't bow down.
It's driving Haman crazy.
Even with all his success.
He just can't let it go.
His pride's hurt.
Yeah. And it leads him to make a really stupid decision.
What does he do?
He builds these gallows.
Gallows?
Yeah, like 75 feet tall.
Wow, that's huge.
He's going to ask the king if he can hang Mordecai.
What? No way.
Yeah, the next morning.
He's planning murder.
While at the same time being honored by the king.
That's crazy.
It's the definition of pride comes before a fall.
He's digging his own grave.
And little does he know, fate has other plans.
What do you mean?
That night, the king can't sleep.
Can't sleep, huh?
So he asked for the royal chronicles.
What are those?
Like the official records.
Right.
Just to pass the time.
Makes sense.
And guess what they find?
What?
It mentions Mordecai uncovering a plot against the king.
Wait, Mordecai saved the king's life?
Yep, but everyone forgot about it.
Even the king?
Even the king.
Wow, that's unbelievable.
It's like Providence is at work.
Setting the stage.
For Haman's downfall.
Oh, I see where this is going.
The king realizes he owes Mordecai big time.
He's got to make things right.
And at that very moment, Haman shows up.
Oh, no. Perfect timing.
He's ready to ask about hanging Mordecai.
He's walked right into a trap.
And the king, he sees Haman. And
what's he ask?
What should be done for the man the king delights to honor?
Oh, this is good.
Haman, of course, thinks it's about him.
Of course he does.
So he suggests this big parade. Yeah, the guy gets to wear royal robes.
Wow.
Ride the king's horse.
That's quite an honor.
It is.
And Haman wants it all for himself.
He has no idea.
Oh, the irony.
The king loves it.
He does.
And he tells Haman to do all that for Mordecai.
No way.
Way.
Poor Haman.
He's forced to honor the guy he hates.
It's a total humiliation.
Talk about a reversal of fortune.
So Mordecai's the hero now.
Yep, and Haman's running home in despair.
But what about the decree?
The decree to kill the Jews.
Yeah, that's still a thing, right?
It is.
And a king's decree can't be changed.
It's unchangeable.
So how do you stop a genocide that's already in motion?
Stay tuned for part 3 to find out.
Yeah.
Okay, so we left off with Haman getting his comeuppance.
Yeah, but that decree is still hanging over everyone's heads.
Like a ticking time bomb.
The Jewish people are still in danger.
It seems pretty hopeless, right?
Well, this is where Esther really steps up.
Okay.
At the second banquet, she finally tells the king everything.
Wow, so she reveals her secret.
She tells him she's Jewish.
And that Haman's plan is basically to kill her, too.
The king must flipped out.
Oh, yeah, he's furious.
Not only is his advisor a traitor,
right,
but he's also threatening the queen.
The woman he loves.
Haman's whole scheme falls apart.
What does he do?
He panics, throws himself at Esther's feet.
Begging for mercy.
But remember, you can't just touch the queen.
Oh, yeah, that's a big taboo.
The king sees this and thinks Haman's attacking her.
Talk about bad timing.
The king storms out, totally enraged.
Oh, man, this doesn't look good for Haman.
Not at all. He's done for.
So what happens?
When the king comes back in, one of the eunuchs speaks up.
Uses Harbona, right?
Yeah, he reminds everyone about the gallows Haman built.
The ones for Mordecai.
Talk about poetic justice.
Right. It's like it was meant to be.
The king doesn't hesitate. He orders Haman to be hanged on those very gallows.
Wow, so Haman gets a taste of his own medicine.
It's a fitting end for someone so consumed by hate.
Definitely.
But the problem of the decree remains.
Yeah, that's still in effect.
And in Persia, a king's decree is absolute.
He can't just change his mind.
It shows the power of law, even back then.
But surely there's got to be a way out of this.
Well, the king can't revoke the decree.
Right.
But he can issue a new one.
Ah, a loophole.
Exactly. This new decree gives the Jewish people the right to defend themselves.
So they can fight back
Against anyone who tries to harm them.
Wow, what a turnaround.
It doesn't erase the threat, but it levels the playing field.
It gives them a fighting chance.
And this new decree, it's sent out just as quickly as the first one.
Couriers on fast horses, spreading the word.
And the fear shifts.
Now people are afraid of the Jews.
It's amazing how quickly things change.
So on the 13th of Adar, the day Haman chose for their destruction.
The Jewish people rise up.
And they win.
It's incredible they go from victims to victors.
It's a testament to their resilience.
And it wasn't just about physical strength.
What do you mean?
A lot of officials saw which way the wind was blowing.
Okay.
And they actually helped the Jewish people.
Wow, so they switched sides.
Some even converted to Judaism.
They must have been really scared.
It shows how fear can motivate people.
But also, I think it shows the power of hope.
Right. People saw that things could be different.
So how do the Jewish people celebrate this incredible victory?
They established a new holiday, Purim.
Yep.
It's named after the the lots that Haman cast.
Oh, yeah, I see.
It's a time for feasting and gift-giving.
Sounds fun.
And, of course, reading the Book of Esther.
So they remember how close they came to disaster.
Exactly. It's a celebration of their deliverance.
And it really makes you think, about the whole book.
What do you mean?
Well, God's never mentioned directly.
Yeah, it's unique that way.
But you can feel this hidden hand at work.
Biting everything, making sure good triumphs.
They're like those hidden object games.
I love those.
They have to really look closely to see it.
And in Esther, maybe the hidden object is faith.
That's a good way to put it.
It's not flashy, but it's there.
This quiet trust that things will work out.
Even when it seems impossible.
And that ambiguity, it makes the book even more powerful.
Totally. It makes us ask questions.
About fate, free will, divine intervention.
Do we need proof to believe?
Or can we see God working even in random events?
It's a question we all have to answer for ourselves.
But the Book of Esther definitely shows the power of faith.
And resilience, the hope for a better future.
It reminds us that even when we feel powerless,
there's always hope.
Things can change in an instant.
And help can come from the most unexpected places.
So, as we wrap up this deep dive into the Book of Esther, what's the main takeaway?
For me, it's the idea that we can all be Esthers.
In our own way.
We might not face life or death situations.
But we can still show courage.
Stand up for what's right.
Make a difference in the world.
Even small acts of kindness and bravery can have a huge impact.
Exactly, like ripples spreading out.
You might not see the full effect.
But it's there.
So ask yourself, how can you be an Esther?
Where can you make a difference?
Even when it's hard, even when it seems impossible.
The Book of Esther, it's a story that still resonates today.
It gives us hope.
And reminds us that even in the darkest times,
deliverance is possible.
It might come from unexpected places, but it will come.
So keep looking for those opportunities to do good.
To speak up, to act justly.
To love mercy.
You never know whose life you might touch.
That's the beauty of it.
Well, that's it for our deep dive into the Book of Esther.
Thanks for joining us.
We hope you enjoyed it and learned something new.
Until next time.
Keep diving deep.